Welcome to workshop 2 of how to use Quantum GIS, and in this workshop we're going to look at how you can map statistical data. So once you've got the software running, you need to add some data, so click on the Open or Add Vector Layer button, click on Browse, go to Practical 2 folder and add in the Cardiff Ethnic Population Ward 2011 file. Okay, and you should have a map of the wards in Cardiff in 2011. First thing we're going to do is just come up with a simple colour scheme. So if you right click on the Cardiff map layer in the table of contents and bring up the properties dialog box, we can now change how the map looks. Make sure the Style tab has been selected. From the single symbol pull-down menu, select Categorized. In the column box, select Ward Names, and then click Classify. And what you should have are all the wards in Cardiff listed with a default colour. Now, we're going to change this colour scheme. So at the moment it says blues, or mine says blues, under the colour ramp box. Click on the arrow and at the bottom select new colour ramp. Select random, click OK, and this allows you to change the different types of colours for each of the wards. At the moment classes is 10, I'm going to give it 7. And I'm just going to accept the default colour scheme it's given me. You can play around. Give it a new name for your colour scheme. I'm going to call it My Calls. Click OK. And then to replace the existing colour scheme with my new one, click Delete All and Classify again. And to see this new colour scheme on the map, click Apply and then click OK. And we have a new colour scheme for the different wards in Cardiff. Our current map is pretty boring. It just gives a colour for each ward. More interesting maps are ones which actually map data for the wards. So what we're going to do now is we're going to produce a simple map of census data. And in this case, the non-white population that lives in Cardiff according to the 2011 census. There's different ways you can map this data, and in this practical we're going to look at 2 or 3 ways. The first way we're going to do is look at how we can use a manual mapping scheme. So right click on the map layer in the table of contents and select Properties from the pop-up menu. Change Categorized to Graduated, and in the column box select the variable non-white P, which is non-white population by percentage. At the moment it comes up with a default mapping scheme of 5 different colours. We want to change the range of those values for each colour for our own manual range. So select the first colour in the legend and double click on the numbers under the range column and change the lower value from 4 to 0% and the upper value from 10.8% to 5%. Click OK. In the second legend colour, double click on the range values and change the lower value to 5 and the upper value to 10. And then in the third legend colour, double click on range and change the lower value from 10%, the upper value to 100%. Click OK. We don't need the remaining 2 colours, so we can delete them by selecting the colour and clicking on the Delete Class button at the bottom. Once we've done that, we can change the labels of the legend so they reflect the range of values. So double click on the first set of labels and type in the range less than 5%. In the second one, we want 5 to 10%, and in the final one, greater than 10%. You can type in anything you want because it's just text. Once we've done that, we can click on Apply and then OK. To display the legend, click on the little plus sign box, and as you can see, it'll then give you the different percentages of non-white population in Cardiff in 2011 by wards. We're now going to see how we can map the data using some of the standard statistical mapping schemes held in the software. And we're going to be looking at two very common schemes used in geography and planning, which are quantile and equal interval. And the differences between quantile and equal interval are explained in the lecture and in the handout. For quantile, right-click on the map layer and select Properties from the pop-up menu. Make sure the column is still the non-white population percentage. For the mode, select quantile, and we're going to choose 5 classes or 5 colours instead of 3. Click on Classify and then click on Apply and OK. And you should have the quantile classification scheme on the map. If you want to see the legend, click on the little plus sign. For the equal interval classification scheme, select Properties and then select Equal Interval from the Mode pull-down menu. You can play around with the colours if you want. It doesn't have to keep the default colour scheme. Again, you can display the legend, and that's the equal interval classification scheme. And again, refer back to your lecture and your practical handout for the differences between the two schemes to be explained. Currently, we're using 5 different colours. We can obviously change the number of colours we see in the legend. Open up the map layer properties, and instead of 5, select 3. Click Apply. As you can see, there's less detail on the map and more generalisation. Or if you wanted more detail, we could have a classification scheme of 7. Again, refer to the lecture and the handout for the pros and cons of different numbers of colours in the classification scheme. In the final part of the workshop, we're going to see how we can produce a professional looking map which you can use in your work. So choose one of the maps you've produced. I'm going to choose the equal interval map with 5 classes. And once you've done that, from the File pull-down menu, select New Print Composer. This brings up the mapping window. Now, to the map, you want to add the map we've just created. So click on the Add Map button and then draw a rectangle on the page where you want your map to be, and it should add it in. You can use the zoom in and zoom out buttons to zoom in and zoom out your map. You can move the position of the whole map itself on the page by using the Select Move button and just drag it. And you can also change the position of the map inside the rectangle by clicking on the Move Map button and just drag it around. Very simple. You can change the background colour of your map by going over to the right hand side and clicking on the General Options tab at the bottom and then clicking on Background Colour. Choose a background colour of your choice or keep it white, it's up to you, and click OK. A professional map has 6 components: a title, the actual map itself, the scale bar, the legend, a north arrow, and the data source. And we're going to be showing you how to put each of these on the map. So first of all, let's start with something easy like the title. Click on the Add Text button at the top and draw a rectangle on the map where you want your title to go. If you then go over to the right hand side of your map and click Item Properties and Label, you can type in here the title of your map. Make sure the title says something about the map. It's very descriptive. So something like percentage of non-white population in Cardiff in 2011 by ward. So it says everything you need to know about the map. You can change the font by clicking on the font button if you want, and just choose a font of your liking, and the font size as well, and you can make it bold and all sorts of things. Click OK. You can center it, and all you want to do to make it bigger is just drag the box. Okay, and then you can move it around the map as well. Okay, that's the title. The next thing we want to add is a north arrow. So click on the Add Image button in the center of the toolbar, and then click on the map where you want the north arrow to go. It might take up to a minute for images to appear in the right hand side of the screen, so give it a while. When they do appear, scroll down and you've got a selection of arrows you can use as north arrows. So choose an appropriate one, and you can resize and move the north arrow as you wish once it's on the map. The scale bar can be added by clicking on the Add New Scale Bar button. Again, highlight on the map where you want it to be. In the right hand side under Item Properties, you'll have something called Scale Bar, and this allows you to change the look and feel of it. The map units are in meters, so all the scales in meters. You might want to change the map unit slightly, it's up to you. I'm going to have my scale bar as 5,000 meters or 5 kilometers, and just in a very simple one, split into 2, like that. Make sure it's sensible. Remember they're in meters, so you can convert them into kilometers in your head. Once you've done the scale bar, you want to add the legend. Again, click on the legend button, click on where you want it in the map, move it around, and under Item Properties on the right, you can select and change the properties of the legend. We click General, and the moment the title says Legend, well, we know it's a legend, so we don't really need that title, we can remove it. If you select Legend Items, you can then change the characteristics and look and feel of the legend itself. I'm just going to change the actual title, which is basically the map layer name. So select the title, click on the update button, and just change it to something like ethnic population. Something like that. Something that looks a little bit neater than it is now. And you can change if you wanted to some of the ranges. So instead of having all those decimal places, you can remove some of the decimal places to make it look a bit neater. So there's all sorts of things you can do, and you can play around with it to make it look better. And just scroll up and down the tab here. Once you've added all those, the last thing you want to add is where the data source comes from. Again, click on Add Text button. Usually the data source goes at the bottom, and the data source in this case is Census 2011. And just put data source as well to make it look neat. And you can put Office of National Statistics as well. Again, you can change the font and things, up to you. So play around with the look and feel of it, and also the background colour. The background colour doesn't look great now, it's blue, but there we go. Once you're happy with your map and it looks nice, not like this one, you might want to export it as an image which you can put into Word or PowerPoint or on the web. So if you go File, Export Image, and the best format to save it in is JPEG or PNG. Okay, and then just save it, my map, or something like that. And then you can open it up in different packages. You've now finished the workshop. If you want to, you can save the project as Practical 2, and then you can close the software down.